skiing really is like taking a skill set and applying it to new conditions and different things every day that you've never experienced before. And so you're really doing a lot of sort of mental physics at 80 miles an hour and hoping that you don't mistime anything because, the fences are right there.
I'm so stressed out right now. I'm so stressed. It's so stressful.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Before we get into the meat and potatoes, we still have some hockey talk to talk. Yeah. Megan, you were able... Yeah, we got hockey talk to talk about. You were in Seattle when the Seattle Torrent players came home, and you got to welcome them.
I was. I got to speak a little bit at their press conference, which was like so cool and such a huge honor. I love being a fan in our like retired life. It's so much fun. So I got to meet, obviously I know Hillary for forever and ever and ever. But Alex and Claire and Hannah, they all came back. I like recognize myself so much in them because it's like, how many days is after? They're like on the 4th or 5th day. They all had coffee. They're all tired. I'm like, oh, I know this. Like, they've got to play a game in 3 or 4 days. Like, they're just in. I was like, where are we at? They're like, we don't know. Like, we're so tired. So I think that was Wednesday that happened. They were playing on Friday. Set a new record. Seattle Torrent set a new record for the largest attended women's hockey game, 17,335 souls in there. And it just made me think, like, there's been so many moments, and you've had a bunch of these, I've had a bunch of these, we've experienced a bunch of these where, like, a women's team or a women's player just like explodes the world, but there's like nowhere for it to go. And there's like somewhere for this to go. In Seattle, at least I was feeling that very deeply about Seattle, but like in general, like there's a women's hockey league that you can go and watch them play all the time. And you can like get into your favorite players and your favorite teams, and you can like buy all the merch and go to a great stadium and have a great night and like have a hot dog and a beer and put your like love and support for this team. Like it just becomes so much bigger than what's happening on the ice, I guess. And what an amazing thing for these players to come back and like be able to do that. So it was super cool. The press conference was great. It was great to see them. They're just like, add them to the list of American heroes.
They've, the women's hockey team has been all over. And obviously we want to talk a little bit about their SNL opening monologue. It was Connor Storrie's episode. Connor Storrie's, obviously from Heated Rivalry. If you don't know that, I don't
Rosenoff.
You're clearly, yeah. Like, do you even listen to this pod? Do you know where you are? If you didn't know that, I don't think you know where you are.
What are we talking about?
But I thought it was the way they played it. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. SNL does a great job. Connor Storrie does a great job. They have the 2 players from the men's team, the Hughes brothers, and then they bring on the women, and they get a little jab in by saying like, oh yeah, we thought we'd invite the men, let them have a moment, which is obviously playing off what had happened in the locker room after they won the gold medal when the president called and kind of dissed the women. So honestly, we've talked about this. We know, where we stand and how we feel about it. What I really liked about the SNL moment is the women just get the final word. They just get to have the final laugh, the final joke. For me, it's always been about the fact that they got laughed at in that locker room more than anything. It has since come out that some of the men's players have both showed regret and have apologized. Some, haven't. It is what it is. But I do, like I said, SNL, opening monologue, killed it. It was Hillary Knight, it was Megyn Keller, and they had the last laugh. I actually saw Hillary last night at the Unrivaled game at Barclays.
Oh.
She came through, torn MCL and all.
Yeah,
torn MCL and all.
Yeah.
Which is really, I think, a great way to just get into the show.
Mm-hmm. It's showtime. I'm Megan Rapinoe.
And I'm Sue Bird. This is A Touch More. Let's get into it.
Support for this show comes from LinkedIn Ads. LinkedIn now connects more than 1 billion professionals, including 130 million decision makers. And with targeting options like job title, industry, company, role, seniority, skills, and company revenue, you can focus your spend on an audience that actually matters. That's why LinkedIn Ads delivers the highest B2B return on ad spend across all major ad networks. Spend $250 on your first campaign on LinkedIn Ads and get a $250 credit for the next one. Just go to linkedin.com/more. That's linkedin.com/more. Terms and conditions apply.
Topic 1 for the check-in. We're going Unrivaled. It was the semifinals. As you guys probably have caught on, we usually record our pod on Tuesdays. So last night was Monday night. The finals for Unrivaled are March 4th. So by the time this pod drops, we'll already know who the winner is, which is pretty crazy that their season just went by so fast. But yeah, the semis were amazing. I was there.
Yeah, tell me everything about the vibe.
Yeah, on 1,000. I mean, women's basketball fans are just so hungry and thirsty. It's like obviously, it was at Barclays, New York Liberty's home. So you knew they were going to show up. You knew they were going to turn out. They were hyped. The place was full. It's interesting because I'll get into the games in a second, but it was interesting because for Unrivaled, I think, they're still building. So they're not really like true fans of the teams yet. You can see it's starting to grow. There was definitely some people in there with Miss gear, with Phantom gear, Breeze gear, vinyl gear, but they're obviously just very, very much fans of the players. And it just made it like a cheer fest. Like everything was being cheered for all the time. Every basket was a cheer, no boos to the refs or anything like that. Very much a neutral site, but like a positive neutral site. And it made me wonder, like, how would those games have been played out differently? Because both games, just very quick, the Phantom, they won. The Mist, they won. So they'll be facing each other in the finals. Both those teams were down significantly before making comebacks. And as you know, comebacks on the road, if these were road games, those comebacks might not have happened. So I feel like the neutral site kind of makes it a little easier maybe to have those kinds of swings in a game. But yeah, I had a great time. It was so great to just see so many faces within the world of women's basketball, people who have been there, since day one. Literally, Lisa Leslie was commentating the games. And then also people that are new investors in Unrivaled who are entering women's basketball and everything in between. So it was really great.
Okay, enough about the vibe. We already knew it was going to be on 1 million, but I definitely wanted to hear all about it. What happened with the actual basketballs?
Yeah, the games were really good. I mean, just a true showcase of like talent, of versatility. I think I already mentioned both games had huge comebacks. The Phantom ended up beating the Vinyl. Plum had 31 points, hit the game winner. It was getting spicy there at the end, but she played great. They don't have Aaliyah Boston, who got hurt at the end of the season, so really just like a couple days ago. So that's a huge loss. So I feel like I thought they were going to win. I actually sat next to Chelsea Gray, which was so fun, just like us two talking about the games and whatnot.
The point guards?
Yep.
What?
Yeah, it was really fun.
We needed mics on that.
Nah, I don't know if we needed mics on that.
Oh, but I mean, we want mics on that. Y'all don't want mics on that, but we want mics on that. Damn.
True, fair. So the first game was really good. I think second game, same. It was the Mist, led by Stewie, but really led by Arike Ogunbowale, who ended up hitting the game winner. They had a huge comeback. Stewie led that comeback, like literally scoring layups and ones, blocking shots, the whole thing. So the New York Liberty crowd was definitely getting into it. But then Arike's game winner was nuts. Sadly for the Seattle Storm, she made Dominique Malunga fall a little bit before hitting that three. Yeah, tough. But it was her birthday.
It's hard to be that tall. It's hard to be that tall.
Yeah, but it was Arike's birthday. So it's a nice little cherry on top. But it was really fun to watch. And Chelsea Gray actually made a really good point. And I'm going to ask you who you got in the finals here. We were talking and it's like, man, on one side, the Phantom, they're kind of riding like a little bit of a no, everybody's going to doubt us because we don't have Aaliyah Boston thing. And Plum in this format, tough. She can straight up carry a team. But then on the other side, you've got the Mist, and this is Chelsea Gray's point, and I'm going to agree with her maybe. How do you choose between these two teams? She says the one thing that the Mist have is size. They've got Stewie. They've got Alana Smith. Lee didn't get to play, but that's someone on their bench, like a 6'7" post player that they can bring in. So yeah, who you got? Come on. It's going to be done by the time this comes out. So you could either look like a genius.
Yeah. I mean, having like 2 bona fide defensive players of the year on your team in a 3-on-3 situation feels like, but Kelsey's a row, 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 row. She's a
Not
dog.
just Kelsey, by the way, man. Like Kiki, tough. Tiffany Hayes, tough. And Natasha Cloud is like their emotional motor. And they actually had
dogs.
Yeah. They had some players come off the bench and really give them some good minutes. But not having Leah Boston impacts things.
Yeah. I'm going to go. Well, first I want to say, and I always talk about this, there's nothing I love more than players meeting a moment. So it's like, it's at Barclays, the home where she plays, and Stewie's going to like carry her team. I love it so much. Like, it's the best thing about sports. Kelsey, it's just like, I got it. Like, I got this thing on my back. Like, it's so much fun. I think the Mist are going to win. Stewie's like, our child. So I think the Mist are going to win. I'm taking the Mist. I'm doing it. Stewie got snubbed on the all Unrivaled teams. So, she's got a chip on her shoulder. What about you? Who do you think is going to win?
God, I'm torn. I think the size of the Mist is going to be a problem, but it's not insurmountable. And the Phantom, like I said, sometimes that mental edge of like, nobody thinks we can do this can overcome anything. I'm torn. Yeah. I'm just, what I'm going to do? I'm going to not answer and move on to this next topic. You already brought it up. Unrivaled had their awards come out. Real quick, they do, for the first team and second team, they do voting, which is like player voting is 40% of the vote, coaches 35, media 25, so a little bit of a combo. On first team was Kelsey Plum, Paige Beckers, Chelsea Gray, no surprise there. Second team, Aaliyah Boston, Alicia Gray, Brittany Sykes. I'm going to throw it to you in a second for this Stewie snub that you just brought up, because she's had an incredible season. Led the league, tied actually for most game winners. So had an incredible season. When I saw this list, I was like, ooh, we're guard heavy, and I like it. And I like it.
You're like,
5.
finally.
Yeah, 5 of the 6 players, which I think speaks to 3-on-3 and the style of play and the space that a guard has. But yeah, that's what stuck out. But yeah, you had mentioned it, so by all means.
Stewie is the kind of player who will always and sort of effortlessly be underestimated or undervalued, or just like not valued at the appropriate level, because she does everything. She will sacrifice points for her teammates. She'll score 38 if she has to. She is diving on the floor and getting deflections and making the right reads. And like, she's just like one of those players that, because she's shining all the time, your eyes adjust to the brightness. And I get it. And I think it's just like one of those things that like happens in sports sometimes, but I think that's it. I think your eyes just adjust to the brightness, and you're like, she's ubiquitous with winning and being on a good team, and her teams are always good and all of that. So it's nothing new for her. She will absolutely put it in that chip backpack and carry it into this season. And she also like had a great season, and I'm like so happy for her for that. But what do you think about?
Yeah, I do think she deserved to be on one of these teams. And I think all these other 6 players deserved it too. And that's where it always gets tricky. Yeah, that's where it always gets tricky. Knowing what I know about Stewie, winning the championship will make it all better. And so I know that that's the focus. I mean, winning the championship, I actually had her on Bird's Eye View last week, talked about this a little bit. Winning a championship in the league you helped create, one of two founders of. I mean,
Meta.
That's
that
crazy.
Shit's meta.
I know Nafisa's probably going to be like, damn, she got there first.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that is where Stewie's focus always is. So I'm sure it stings. And also winning the chip would take that all away.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
tough. It's always tough.
She's
It
like-
speaks to the talent level of everybody.
Stewie was snubbed.
Yeah. Well,
But she
something
really
that
only cares about winning.
Yeah. Well, something that nobody is arguing is the MVP, which was announced yesterday. Chelsea Gray. On the season, she averaged like a little over 24 points, a little over 6 assists, 5.5 rebounds, had 4 game winners. Like I said, my favorite stat when you go to the Unrivaled website is that they keep track of the game winners. I love that.
Love it.
Yeah. So that was second. 4 game winners was second. Well, I guess technically third because 2 people tied at 5. But anyways, this voting was a combination of fans, players, coaches, and media. So the fans got a say on this one. So congratulations to Chelsea Gray. Not much to say about it. I think she was the front runner from the jump. She carried it all the way through. The only bummer is that the Rose, her team, who were the defending champs, got knocked out of the playoffs. So didn't even make it to the semis. So that's a bit of a bummer, but doesn't change anything about her season. She was a dog all year.
Yeah.
Next up, Defensive Player of the Year, Aaliyah Boston. She also had a tremendous year. Actually, if I quote Stewie from, again, Bird's Eye View, I asked her, I'm like, which 2 players were the most like surprising to you? You know, like who really played well? Not that you were like not expecting it, but like, dang, they played well. She said Brittany Sykes, which, you know, she made second team, and Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston just had a great year, finished second team, Defensive Player of the Year, sadly suffered that injury, so we don't get to see her in the playoffs, but congratulations to her. And then last but not least, Coach of the Year, Renika Hodges. What I love about this is the Phantom finished first, so she obviously was doing her thing. Here's a former player. She's been an assistant for a long time in the WNBA. Now she's getting this like head coaching experience. So who knows where it takes her. So shout out to Ro. Congrats on that.
I love that.
All right, you ready for some soccer talk? Support for this show comes from LinkedIn ads. Sometimes even the strongest B2B marketing ends up in front of the wrong audience. If someone's getting ads for enterprise accounting software when they have zero accounting experience, that's a clear sign your strategy needs a reset. So when you're ready to reach the right professionals, you should check out LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn now connects more than 1 billion professionals, including 130 million decision makers. And that's what sets it apart from other ad channels. With targeting options like job title, industry, company, role, seniority, skills, and company revenue, you can focus your spend on the audience that actually matters. That's why LinkedIn Ads delivers the strongest B2B return on ad spend across all major ad networks. Yes, that's right, all of them. So if driving B2B growth is the goal, LinkedIn Ads is one of the most effective ways to get your message in front of the people who can actually say yes. Spend $250 on your first campaign on LinkedIn Ads and get a $250 credit for the next one. Just go to linkedin.com/more. That's linkedin.com/more. Terms and conditions apply. Takes us right to topic 2. We already talked about this last week. The SheBelieves Cup is in full swing. Actually, really quick for everybody listening who maybe didn't catch last week's, can you explain just like the tournament itself and like the format? The first round took place this Sunday, March 1st in Nashville. Just like quickly explain how it works.
It's just a sort of friendly tournament. It started as a way to like get great competition at this juncture in the year. The NWSL is starting up. We're sort of in our preseason. Other leagues around the world, particularly in Europe, are already in full swing. So everybody's like kind of in form. And it traditionally has just been like this kind of like marker. Like January camp is a little different. Once you get into the summer, things are kind of going. But this is like where are we right now? And I think, you know, especially because Women's World Cup in Brazil is next summer. Like, and I said this last week, but this is really a like, okay, we're going to start to like hone in as much as possible, as much as players are available. And obviously we talked about the players that are unavailable and different players being brought in, but like as much as possible, I feel a like just in the way Emma's talking and what I see and all of that, I feel a little bit of a mentality shift. And now she's like, okay, how do I start to think about how we win the World Cup? Like truly. What combinations of players are working, what happens in all of that. But then just sort of like pulled back. It's just like a cool international tournament. We played some of the best games, like some of the best, hardest, like my best performances like came in that tournament because you're like into your preseason already and you're fit and you're like, it's like your first real opportunity to kind of like showcase like who you're going to be for the year. So it's just kind of like a fun tournament. We travel, you know, it's all over the country. They were in Nashville. Shout out to the cowboy hats. I see y'all. That was a nice little touch. And they obviously won their first game against Argentina in Nashville. And then they'll play in Columbus, and then they'll play at what is formerly Red Bull, but now it's Sports Illustrated Stadium in Harrison, New Jersey, which will also be Tobin Heath's sort of like retirement celebration game, which I'll be at, which would be really fun.
So the tournament is like round robin, right? So you play these 3 games. The US had their first game against Argentina. You kind of referenced it. They won 2-0, but a lot happened. So do you want to break it down for us?
I would say like not in any kind of shady way, but this is our B lineup. Not all of our best players were playing, or what I would think is our absolute strongest lineup. We're still needing a sharper edge in the final third. We had 70% of possession, but only 3 shots on target. I mean, we're also missing the absolute best part of our arsenal, which is the triple espresso and Cat Macario. So that is very obvious firepower. But I think even, you know, just sort of tactically and like structurally, like I want to see more chances created. We need to be a lot more efficient and effective on crosses. We're going to be having a lot of the possession in a lot of the games that we play. We're going to be dominating that. We're going to be getting into dangerous areas. We're going to be getting into the final third. We're going to be getting end line. And that skill needs to improve, like picking people out, the types of cross, the texture of the cross. And I think a little bit the lack of shots is in part due to the quality of the cross, because if you're not able to punish someone with a cross, then they can sit back a little bit more and defend a little bit easier. So if they're going to give you the space to cross, then you have to punish them. Otherwise, they're never going to give you the space to shoot. So I think that's an area that we can like continue to grow. And as I said, obviously our 4 best attackers weren't really playing. Trinity played at the end and was injured. Looked like she got just rammed in the back, which is super concerning. I hope she's okay. Hopefully it was just sore. But with that injury history, concerning. Also, Lily Real came off with an injury. Yeah, and she's becoming a very familiar face. Obviously, she had a great rookie season with Gotham, was really good and really consistent for them, and I think is really like making a run at being a staple in that lineup. So we'll kind of have to like watch that space also. I thought Lindsay had a really good game. Lindsay Heaps, Haran formerly. It's interesting. I feel like Lindsay is at this point. I got to this point. You got to this point. Anybody who's, you know, plays into their 30s really and into their later 30s gets to this point where like you can't do everything that you did before. You don't have the legs, you're smarter, so you're like I don't have to do all of this. And you got to get to this point where you like evolve your game. And I see that coming from her. And I think she knows that and wants that. So I'm really interested, like, she's going to have this super young team around her. So how do they turn that screw? Because there's things that Lindsay can do and the way she sees the game that nobody else can do, and that she's elite at and very dangerous. And she is a high production player in front of goal. She has a great shot. She has a knack for goal. She has texture of every kind on every kind of ball that you could possibly play. So how do we use the team unlock that. I felt that in my career. Later in my career, if I didn't play in front of Crystal and on the side of Sam and Lindsay, like I'm not the same player. I couldn't do as much, but what I could do, nobody else could do. So I'll be interested to see how Emma uses, a young midfield, a Claire Hutton and a Lily Johannes and obviously Sam Coffey, and like sort of what side of the field Lindsay sort of shifts to or sort of floats in more. She generally floats a little bit more to the left side of the field. What's that winger doing? What's the center forward doing? Is she playing in the 10? What's the left back like? Do they sort of shift that way? So I'm excited to see that and just to see how Lindsay evolves, because I think she's smart enough to do it. Not every player can do that, but she has a big enough game and is smart enough to do it. So that was one thing, and I thought she played really well, and she scored an absolute banger. You love to see it. And then I think the last thing I'll say about the first game, and it's something that Emma said, I think she's in this phase where she's teaching this young team how to win. And what I mean by that is, like, we're going to get to the World Cup and not everybody's going to have been at a World Cup. You're going to have sort of a half and half, half sort of veteran team and players that have won things and been to World Cups, and then half, probably more than half that haven't. So she's talking about stuff like emotional management and game management and putting them in uncomfortable situations and ultimately having higher standards than the game requires, than any given game requires. Like Argentina, is not a tip-top opponent. They're not Spain. They're not Japan. They're not England. They're not those teams. So how do you have a super high standard, way higher than the game requires, which then becomes like a mental challenge and a mental exercise of how do I keep myself at this level when the game doesn't even ask for that. So I love that she's already like talking and thinking about that and thinking about it from that perspective, so she can prepare her team as much as possible so that when they get there, it's not like the newest situation that they've ever been in, and at least they have some tools kind of under their belt. So that's kind of what I saw from the first game.
Yeah, you mentioned they only had 3 shots on goal, but they made 2. Is that from the soccer expert's standpoint? Are you like, hey, 2 for 3, I'll take it? Or are you still just, we didn't get enough?
Yeah, I think it's more the conversion rate. Excellent. I would love to know the XG, which is basically the expected goals based on the areas of the field that you're in. Mm-hmm. So if they were in the final third like 25 times and they only produced 3 shots, then it's like, okay, we have, there's like something going on there. The conversion rate, great. Like ultimately a 2-0 win is great, but that's kind of what I mean by expectations that are higher than what that particular game required. So those are the games that are hard. Those are the games that we had tons of those when I was on the national team, because you're the best team in the world. You're one of the best teams in the world. So all the competition isn't at your level. There's 3, 4, 5 teams that are at your level, and then there's another tier, and then there's tiers below that. So really it's more like, okay, what areas of the field are we getting into? And then how can we make those better so that we can have more, obviously the team is efficient in finishing. So if we're this efficient in finishing, let's put ourselves in a position to finish more often.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You mentioned they play Canada next. By the time this comes out, that game will have already happened. But you also brought up that game on March 7th. In Harrison, New Jersey, where Gotham plays, is Tobin Heath's celebratory game. Do you want to just touch on Tobin and kind of, what she's meant?
Oh gosh, just what a pleasure to play across Tobin for all of those years. Tobin, and I can appreciate this deeply because I was my full own person. Tobin was just like her own person the whole time and brought something that nobody else could do. Nobody else had sort of like command of the ball like that. She was so fun to watch. She played with so much intensity and so much joy. She was such a winner, for how creative and the way she likes to play the game and how like artistic I think she approached the game. That motherfucker was a winner. Won everywhere on every team. She's one of the most psychopathic competitive people that I know on the field. And that always just pushed everyone and like did it in a way that was like nothing that we've ever seen. And honestly, the last little bit of her career, I think, was robbed by an injury, and that's, you know, so sad. But wow, did she make the most out of, you know, every little ounce of career that she had. We shared so many moments on and off the field. We have so many laughs. We have so many just like, you know, it's funny because we were the balance of each other. So we always just were like, I feel like we like lived in two different worlds that were the same world. We're both trying to do the same thing. We're both trying to like execute from our sides of the field, but we were always just like literally so far away. So it was like funny in that way, but so deserving. I love that U.S. Soccer is doing this for players. Just having a moment. Obviously, Tobin is from New Jersey as well. So I'm sure she'll have tons of friends and family. But I love that we're taking the time to, and shout out to U.S. Soccer and everyone involved there in the alumni program. They're emailing us all the time, always asking if we want to come to games, like always setting everything up for us, like giving us the opportunity and taking care of everyone to stay really plugged in to the team. I know that I love that as a former player. And I also know that it means a lot, you know, when the players are coming in from the tunnel and they see all the former players there, like it's such a cool thing to be a part of. So shout out to U.S. Soccer for always doing that and for putting a big effort behind that. And it's going to be fun to see old teammates and to celebrate Tobin and celebrate one of our very best. So it'll be great.
Yeah. So that's on March 7th, and Megan is going, so she'll be able to report on all things when we record next week. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. Hopefully the temperature is going to cooperate with what I'm comfortable with and what I physically can handle, which has not been anything of what the temperature in New York area has been so far. I haven't even been able to go there yet because it's just not safe for me. You're built like that. I am not.
Good luck.
I know. I need
you already
like
got
a fur outfit.
Are you wearing your beanie in like preparation?
Basically.
It's keeping
I'm
your
like,
head
can
warm
I store warmth? Yeah. Can I store warmth here? But yeah, and then there's other games happening, obviously, Canada and Argentina, USA, Colombia. That's the second game happening in Harrison that day. So we'll keep y'all tapped in on all the things happening in She Believes. But it's just such a great tournament, and I love seeing the evolution of the team too. I feel like they're in such a great place, and there's so many new players, and this really feels like, oh, this is this era's team, and it's taken a lot of work to get there. So it's fun to watch them play. Okay, we're getting out of the soccers and back into the basketballs, but the baby basketballs. Sue, give us your Sue Bird's College basketball vibe check of March.
It's March 3rd,
we're getting
everybody.
into the real proper business end of this women's college basketball season.
I can't believe it.
I know.
I can't believe it.
I had a jump scare the other day when it was March. I was like, whoa, when did it get to be March? It's March. Wow.
It's gonna be
March.
It was right after February is when that happened.
So run it down for us. What's going on? Tell us everything
March,
we need to know.
March is here. Women's college basketball has been going. It's been wild. So as we enter what is known as March Madness, it's already been madness. It's literally already been madness. I would say the way to describe this season, we talked about this a little bit with Rebecca Lobo, has just been like upset city. It's just been upset after upset, whether it's like unranked teams beating ranked teams or just like within the rankings, right? The lower seeded team, beating the higher seeded team. We've seen every type of upset you could imagine. And even though that is like pretty stressful and, we could go into the reasons, again, we did with Rebecca a little bit. Is it the transfer portal? She brought up the point of actually neutral courts, which we just mentioned a couple minutes ago with Unrivaled.
Yeah.
Like what is the reason? I don't know. What I do know, it's going to make for an epic March. It's going to make for everybody, dropping a tear with their bracket. I feel like these brackets are going to be impossible to fill out, even within like the last couple of weeks. ESPN, Charlie Cream, who's like the resident bracketologist, they've been doing their reveals, right? Like giving you a glimpse of, if the tournament started today, these are the 4-1 seeds. These are the 4-2 seeds, so on and so forth. Even those have changed from like
changing
one
all the
week
time
to the next. Yeah. So I'm sure he's losing a ton of sleep. But like I said, the good news is it's going to make for an amazing March. Women's basketball is clearly just, it peaks. I feel like every day that goes by, it's a new peak. So I'm really excited for it. We're going to be doing brackets again. So everybody get
Maybe I'll have a better shot because it's more chaotic this year.
Maybe, yeah. You can like totally pick. Now you can really pick on mascot, favorite
I'm
color.
gonna let full chaos fly on my bracket.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Okay. But the other part about, two things. When seasons end, right? When regular seasons end, I should say, what happens? You have your senior night. And so we've seen a lot of senior nights. A lot of people have had to say goodbye. It's interesting because of the transfer portal. On one side you have, I'll go with UConn. You have an AZ Fudd who was actually at the school for like 5 years. She got to connect with fan bases. Then you have some players that have only been at these schools for 1 year. So the senior nights are kind of interesting and different. Do you have any like memories from your senior? Well, it was probably a day.
Like, I don't. And I also feel like I have like a feeling that it was like, great. I was there for all 4 years. We won my freshman year, but I like can't remember it. And I'm sad about that. I know.
Like it's just
I know.
totally
You know how my
no
memory is.
I know.
It's so weird. But I'm sure we had one. And like I'm sure my parents were there. And like I'm sure we did the whole thing. And like I was really close with my underclassmen. And so I'm sure it was like so lovely, but I like literally don't remember. But I know you remember yours.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a memorable. I can't believe you don't remember.
So special. I know. Yeah. I'm sad about it.
Yeah. No, I actually have a ton of memories from it. Going to UConn and the way the women's tournament has worked, we knew we would probably, basically like 100%, going to host the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament. So in some ways, it wasn't our actual final game. And I have a memory of walking off the court in what was my actual final game in Gamble Pavilion. But the senior night itself is the celebratory moment. Your parents are there. Your family members are there. They walk you onto the court. I vividly remember we didn't know what song was going to be played. And that's like a big, it's kind of like this big moment where, and big reveal where you start walking out and the song comes on. And Coach Auriemma, I don't know that he picks it every year, but he generally is part of that process. And it was Now and Forever by Carole King. Like, now and forever. I'm not going to do that. You are a part of me. And the memories cut like a knife. Okay. So that plays. And we had already, it's me, Swin Cash, Tamika Williams, Asia Jones. We were super, super close. And we had already talked about like, who's going to cry first? Who's going to cry? Who's going to cry?
Yeah.
And in my head, I was like, no effing way. I've never cried publicly in these moments, like basically ever. That song came on. I started walking out. It was starting to, I couldn't help myself. I was like, what is this? What is this? And my middle name is Bridget, but it's spelled Brigit. And for pretty much my whole college career, Tamika, like jokingly was like, what are you, Brigitte? Like, where's the D or the E? Like, okay, Brigitte. And as I'm walking out, the emotion is starting to come. She just yells, Brigitte! And it like brought me back immediately. Like tears stopped. I was like, oh, I'm back in the moment. And I was so thankful for it. Because the emotion was wonderful in some sense. But to have her do that, I started laughing, was also just, I don't know. It was really like indicative of our group, of what we meant to each other. So in some ways it was perfect. But yeah, I have so many memories. So it was fun to watch all of these seniors have their senior nights. But then once that regular season's over, and now pretty much all of them we're heading into the conference tournaments. So those are going to start like pretty soon here this weekend for sure. And I think the one thing that really stands out is in the SEC, you have like 3 potential number 1 seeds. I don't know if they're all 3 going to get it. South Carolina's pretty much a lock from my understanding. But then you have Texas and Vanderbilt who are, I think it's like leaning towards Texas, but they're kind of jockeying.
Okay, Shay Ralph.
Yeah, I know. Shout out Kevin DeMille. They might meet each other in the semis, but the one thing we also know about the SEC tournament, they love an upset in that thing. I feel like every year you're like, oh, well, this school ranked second, got knocked out in the quarters. So I'm really excited. Yeah, I'm really excited for the SEC tournament. And since you shouted out Shea, I do want to shout out Vanderbilt itself, but also the reason, the engine, Michaela Blakes. She's been on an absolute tear, has had a phenomenal season, so young, showing so much of like herself, her game, her talent. Sky 100% feels like there's zero limit to that. She's had 5 consecutive 30-point games versus top 25 teams. To give you frame of reference, Caitlin did that. She had 4 games of that. Paige had 3. Juju had 3. So just to give you an idea of the kind of scoring we're talking about here. She's really fun to watch. So if you don't know the name, if you don't know the school, check them out this weekend, SEC tournament.
Oh, amazing. I can't wait to start watching. This is like the most fun time of the year. And then it like takes us into the professional women's sports season.
I know, you really are missing. You're missing the summer.
I know. I'm like, oh, there's something like missing here. And I'm like, it's all my gals.
Oh, yeah, gals. The NCAA brackets will then be announced on Selection Sunday, which is March 15th. So we got a lot to look forward to. And it's also time to bring on our guest, somebody I've been looking forward to talking to for quite some time, really ever since she won a gold medal.
Yeah, Breezy Johnson is coming on the show. Breezy just won the Olympic gold medal in the women's downhill skiing, which is crazy. We're going to talk to her all about it. The second U.S. women to win gold after Lindsey Vonn in 2010. It was a 96-second race, and it was nail-biting to watch. It was so crazy. She was born in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. That tracks, a lot of snow, beautiful mountains. And she's been skiing since she was 3 years old. She's qualified for the Olympics 3 times and competed twice, 2018 and 2026. She's also dealt with multiple injuries, as I feel like all skiers have, that have kind of scuttled her runs in the past and put a damper on that. So this is a long, sought after, like much deserved win. And we can't wait to hear all about it from her. Please welcome to the show, Breezy Johnson. Welcome, Breezy, to the show. And congratulations on your gold medal. It's incredible.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind. So,
oh my God, I can imagine. Where are you in the world right now?
So I'm actually back in Italy. In ski racing, I sort of say it's like equivalent to like Formula One. So you have a tour that you go on all year and stops in different places. And then every 4 years, one of those places is the Olympics. So we went to Andorra right after the Olympics. And now we're actually back in Italy for another World Cup stop in San Pellegrino, which is closer to where they held the cross-country events for the Olympics.
Yeah, we saw that Norwegian man sprinting up the hill. That was crazy. You're basically 2 weeks out. I mean, you just detailed it a little bit from winning gold in downhill. It's your first Olympic medal ever, and it's a gold one. And then your medal literally broke into a bunch of pieces, which is so funny. Lynn Williams, after the Olympics in 24, was swinging her medal around like a psychopath, and her strap like broke and it like fell off. And so then like everywhere she went, she was just like, here it is. Yeah. Obviously it broke into pieces celebrating, which is the best way to treat a medal. Just walk us through the days and couple weeks after this win. Like, how have you been taking it all in? What is this like? What's this post gold medal life actually look like for you and feel like?
Yeah, well, I mean, I kind of had obviously always dreamed about winning an Olympic gold medal, but I think like just a medal of any color was in an individual sport is like a really huge accomplishment, and was really something that I've been working towards for forever. And then I don't think I really fully understood kind of like the weight of a medal, the like how much heavier the weight of a gold medal is. So it really kind of took me by surprise then, because I was like, I felt like in alpine skiing, it's like a hugely prestigious sport. Like winning any color is, we think of as being really incredible. Like our, ski sponsors and stuff, like they obviously value gold medals more, but not like significantly more. But then the media and the, like support from like the broader American community was really like very incredible and very exciting. But so I got done doing downhill and then obviously had 2 more events, had to, had kind of like sort of the full Olympic experience within one Olympics. I won the first one. I was 4th in the second one, and I ate shit into the nets in the third one. And then got proposed to by my boyfriend in the finish. So really, like, the whole experience was really the best, the worst, the like in between was really crazy. So then, like, after that was done, we had a little bit of a break. My fiance and I went down to Milan. We got to do some spectating, which I went to my first games in Pyeongchang, and we watched like one hockey game like the day before closing ceremonies, and it was really cool, but it was just really quick, and so it was cool to kind of be able to like relax, kind of, have some good food in Italy, go watch some speed skating, watch some hockey, like hang out a little bit, and get sort of a broader Olympic experience. Although it was definitely different because we weren't in the village, so like you couldn't kind of move villages. So I was like a normal person, like just spectating at the Olympics. So that was really cool. And then after that, I had to gear myself right back up for another World Cup in Andorra. We have kind of this full year-long tour. So now we're just go every weekend until the middle of March. And we for huge fans of the Olympic gold medal, like you're like, this sport kind of only exists once every 4 years. But for people within the sport, there's, a lot of people view like what we call our crystal globes as sort of more prestigious to people who know within the sport than an Olympic gold medal. Like obviously Olympic gold medals are really cool, but it's a little bit, it's maybe sort of similar to like casual fans being like, Olympic soccer is really cool, and you're like, well, like
World Cup,
the World Cup is kind of like more our thing, or like the WNBA championship versus your Olympic gold. So have those going on. So trying to get a title in downhill is really my ultimate goal this year.
Amazing.
Wait, what makes it more prestigious? Because you bring up a great point. Definitely for soccer, like the World Cup is higher. Yeah.
So for alpine skiing, the Olympics is, incredible, and it's one race, but the World Cup Globe it's similar to the Formula One World Championships, where it's comprised by points that you accrue at races over a season.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
it's not just the one.
The person that wins the Olympic gold is the best person at the Olympics. And this year, the Olympics were at what we call a classic stop. So but sometimes the Olympics are in kind of random places. They're like weird slopes. They're not very like similar to some of the World Cup slopes that we have. And so whoever like, you always say like whoever like wins the globe is like undoubtedly the best downhill skier of that season. Like you can't really do it because they not only did it like at one race, they did it at 8 or 9. So that's kind of why it's like super valued within the sport.
Yeah, that actually is the perfect segue, because Megan and I were able to go out to Milan for like loosely the first week. So we saw some women's hockey, we saw some short track speed skating, but we were just in Milan. We couldn't get up to Cortina. But very quickly, whether just with speed skating or watching you guys ski and other sports, figure skating, like there's a lot of falling and crashing and like elements.
God,
That is
it's
so
crazy.
different. Yeah. It's just so
Crazy.
different from our experience. Like Megan, you're outdoor sports. You definitely get like, some days there's rain or whatnot, but it's like I was blown away by the impact of the elements, which is, I'm sure for you, just so obvious. There's like the idea of course conditions, the weather, the snow. How do you like prepare for and adapt to a course that you can't ever fully predict?
Yeah, I mean, it's challenging. Like I say that like, right, there are some sports like swimming or gymnastics, like they're very extreme, but you're really repeating the same skills over and over again. And then you have certain sports that are like against an opponent, so you have to kind of figure out how to apply those skills to different opponents. So that's like, a third kind of thing. But then skiing really is like taking a skill set and applying it to new conditions and different things every day that you've never experienced before. And so you're really doing a lot of sort of mental physics at 80 miles an hour and hoping that you don't mistime anything because, the fences are right there. So
I'm so stressed out right now. I'm so stressed.
Yeah,
it's so stressful.
It's definitely a challenge. And I think that it's part of why like winning a gold medal was definitely like a dream of mine, but something that I had to accept the reality that it might never come to fruition because every day there's so many different variables. So even at the Olympics, for downhill, like you get 2 training runs on the track. So the 2 days prior. So, and we were supposed to have 3, but the first one got immediately canceled. There was too much snow. And then you're coming in, there's like a ton of snow, like there was fog coming in and out. So we like on the first training run, we were supposed to run, but then we had to wait like an hour and a half because there's too much fog on the track. So you can't see and it's not safe to run. So we were, there's balancing that. And then you top it off because it's a little bit like, like I hate to use the Formula 1 analogy again, but it's a little bit Formula 1 with knives on your feet because you have these skis that there's a ton of engineering that goes into them. There's, wax on that day. Like I, was telling somebody that like, like 3 years ago, they banned PFAS in our wax. So we used to we call them fluoros, but PFAS, like in our wax, they're very good for wicking water away from the base. And then they changed that. And some of the teams have been creating their own proprietary wax. And so some teams are like in a very different place. And like, if it had been a different day, like Team USA might have just been screwed because we had the wrong wax. And this like doesn't commit to like the sport being fair, right? Like you can get up there and like it can get cloudy and then you're at a disadvantage. Like it can get windy and you're at a disadvantage, and it's just whoever happens to have the fastest time that day wins the race. So there's a lot of coming to terms with that variability and that uncertainty. And for me, like I have just had to be like, I want to work hard. I want to find meaning in that work and that work ethic of a champion, even if you don't necessarily have the results to back you up as a champion. And it's I think there's pieces to it in team sports that exist too, because you have to accept that like you have to do your best, and maybe your teammate's going to have a bad day and that's going to cost you the championship or the win, and so there's some of that, but it's sort of these third variables that you come to terms with that you're going to like the media sometimes gets so like annoyed with me because I'm just out here trying to execute my plan, and they're like, yeah, but like, don't you want to win the gold? And I'm like, I'm just here to execute my plan because at the end of the day you can execute your plan. That's and really all I walk have away and you're in 5th place. And it's just something that you come to terms with. And the risk and that piece is another like huge element to the sport. That's we have some of the gnarliest injuries in sport. We don't have quite as high of an ACL rate as they do in soccer, but we have far more complex. You get
like trauma.
Yeah. So, I mean, and we have a lot of athletes that have done it. Like I say, like, I mean, I can probably name maybe like 3 or 4 athletes that have not torn their ACL on at the top level on the World Cup circuit. And for each one of those, I can name you probably 6 more people who have done it at least times.
Yeah.
It's just a reality of the sport, but it's also really cool because there's something about maybe the necessity of doing it, or maybe the, you know, the work that like the sport has put in, or just something about kind of the smooth, slow turns of skiing that allows people to come back from really like devastating knee injuries. Like, so, you know, in 2022.
Talk about your own knee injury, because in 2022
Yeah.
you heard it on this slope in Cortina. So was
Yes.
that? I mean, what you're bringing up is like all sounding like just, I don't even know, like psychological hurdle after psychological hurdle after. So what was that like specifically for you to go back on that same slope after you got injured, you know, just like 4 years ago?
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, like going into the 2022 Olympics, I tore my ACL. I basically was trying to do what Lindsay was trying to do at the Olympics. I was trying to continue to ski without an ACL. There are some people that do it in the sport. And I went to Cortina and I crashed off of not the same jump that she did, a spot later on in the course, and just immediately felt like this massive crack in my knee and pain. And basically what happened was I ripped like basically like a 6 centimeter chunk of cartilage out of my knee. So I don't know if you're like familiar with the like the surgery that Lonzo Ball had for his cartilage. So I did that. It's called an OCA. So I had that. I had my meniscal roots were torn. So where your meniscus attaches to your knee, those were completely detached. So they reattached those. And then they also fixed my ACL at the time. And yeah, I mean, I like one of the reasons that I was crying, you know, when I was in the leader's chair at the Olympics was because I like sort of didn't remember until that moment, but I remembered like when I came down, I remember it's, you know, it's so beautiful in Cortina. And I remembered looking up at those cliffs and being like, it's so beautiful here. And yet it's so brutal. And like, I don't know how I'm going to come back to this like amazing place and try to win here.
Yeah.
And then I like in the leader's chair, like looking at the cliffs being like, I don't know how we did it, but we did it, folks. Like, you know, and we're lucky because like I had the opportunity. We race World Cups in Cortina every year. And so I had the opportunity to go back and have some more races on that slope and kind of put a lot of those demons to bed. And, you know, for me, like being injured is a reality of the sport. And a lot of times it's, you know, you don't necessarily like, for me, I'm never trying to like fight those feelings of fear or, you know, like what's happened to me. Like I just try to live with them and like, you know, take them with you to an extent. I think like even the morning of the downhill, I actually listened to Anderson Cooper and Stephen Colbert's like piece on like grief and loss.
Yeah.
Like how he's like, you know, grateful for the piece for the thing that I most wish hadn't happened to me. And I was like, that is where I am. Like, I do not wish it had happened to me, but I am the person that I am today because of that. I am a person who can win because of that. And like, as I face this moment of like, you know, intense possible, like, you know, grief and suffering or potential like victory, like, I'm just going to carry that forward and realize that like, you know, we are like as athletes lucky to be able to experience those highs and lows and be able to experience like I feel like the full like circle of life. And like you bring that forward and you know you just like have to somewhat like embrace that possibility of failure, and that like this may be a moment that goes in that category of like a terrible thing that I wish had not happened to me, but that will still make me better, or something that will, you know, be something that I'll cherish forever, but also, you know, carry with me hopefully into like many more great things.
It's so true. I mean, I'm thinking about the just moments of both Stu and I's career, but I'm thinking about the end of my career. And we've talked about this in the Olympics, like, and in sports in general, like our job is to bring our best. Sometimes our best is the best, and sometimes our best is not the best. And like the most important thing is to try to the best of your ability to do your best. And like, you're not in control of the rest. In particular, I mean, you got to be a grounded ass woman to be in skiing because of all the things that you've just talked about, and then be able to, and I want to get to the race because I'm so interested. I was watching it yesterday, and if I was just watching and listening, because I don't have a great grasp on what all the things are, it sounded like you skied like not a very tight, good race, because the guy was like, oh, you're getting a lot of air here. Oh, you had to slow down here or like whatever, but the margins are so thin. So I just want to know, like, your race was 96 seconds long. The margins are so tiny. The silver medalist, Emma Iyer, is how you pronounce it? Yeah. Finished 4/100ths of a second behind you, whatever that means. How do you think about those 96 seconds? Like, do you feel the time? There's no like scoreboards with times on the track that you can see where you're at. Okay. So are you like feeling the time? Like, ooh, I got a little too much air on that, or ooh, I had to like slow down here. And then how well can you feel your time versus what it actually is? Like, just tell me what it feels like to have a good run and how you think about that.
Yeah, so obviously, like, we do a lot of visualization of how we want to ski the run, like what we want that to feel like. And, in downhill, with the training runs, and like, we really know what that is, supposed to be like. And it always goes a little bit off of the tracks a little bit, but like as you're going down, like you feel the speed to some degree. Like especially when you're comfortable, and in downhill, you can kind of feel like, and when you fly far off of jumps, like there's two reasons that you do that. One, because you didn't press the jump well, but two, because you're going really fast. The faster you go, the farther you fly. And so I knew that on a couple of the jumps, I got a little bit squirrely, like what we say, like I got a little twisted up and stuff. You probably saw that in the run, but I knew that I skied clean everywhere. I knew that I was carrying speed a lot of places. Okay. And so you can feel that and know that like as you're going down, because you're like in each turn you have like, okay, I'm gonna be here, and then I'm gonna hit this point, and then I'm gonna make this move here, and you're like each time you're like check. Okay, that one wasn't great, but like sort of check there. And when you get down to the bottom and you like feel like you only had like one or two like places that you didn't quite check, and it wasn't like a full, like we say, like boned that turn or whatever, like you really messed it up or whatever. Like if you do that on one place, then you're like, well, that wasn't great. But when you only have a couple of those, then you're like, okay, that was a pretty good run. And I knew from the training runs, I was like expecting that a high, like 135 or 95 seconds was going to take the race. And then I came across the line and it was a low 136. And I had this when I won the world championships last year, and I had the same, like, I think it'll be like a high 144 or whatever. And it was a low 145 or something. And I was like, maybe that'll take it. And so I came across the line and I was like, that's definitely good enough for a medal. And it's might be gold. Like, so, you know that like from yourself and from doing it, but there can be pieces that it somewhat depends, right? If you're really in tune with the track from the training runs, then it's a lot easier to like have that feeling and know that. But
totally.
And obviously if you run like, so typically the best racers run bib 5 or bib 6 to bib 15. So I ran bib 6. So I was the first one of the top racers. So I had to kind of gauge off of the time. But if you run bib 15 and you're in the lead, you're probably going to take the race.
Right.
So it kind of just depends to some degree, but while you're running, you're just continuing to try to go and go and go. There's no like ability to know that you're in the lead at all or not.
Yeah.
And for me,
you can tell
right,
from your
like,
reaction though. Your reaction, you were like, I feel like your reaction was like, I got it. Yep.
But I ran. I hope I got this. Like,
okay, fair.
And then you watch everybody like coming down, and it's like, for me, like, I mean, I didn't ski the top very well, so you have to watch everybody be in front of you at the beginning and be like, I hope that I can get them at the bottom.
Yeah.
But
then they just like make you sit, which I'm honestly super into, the winner's chair.
Yeah.
They're just like, here, sit here. And like,
and wait.
Let your anxiety just sit here in the winner's chair.
Display.
And then you know what? Maybe you're going to get kicked out of the winner's chair. Maybe you won't. It's just like, it's such a piece of like entertainment and drama in a sport that is like so dramatic already, because you guys, F1 is such a great analogy for like the actual skier. Like that's exactly what you guys are. You're high performance. You're on these tiny little things that are designed not for your safety at all, but for maximum speed. And you're just flying down the hill and like trying to keep it all together. And when you can't keep it all together, shit's going to fly everywhere. So it's like such an amazing analogy to like think about you guys flying like that. Something that maybe you didn't totally prepare for. Connor proposing to you after your Super G run. The internet certainly had thoughts about it, as the internet has thoughts about everything. The internet always has thoughts about everything. But from everything you've said, this was like something you specifically dreamed of. Like, I want to know what that moment was like, and to have it be at your run and to like be able to share that moment together.
Yeah, I mean, I like, when I went to my first games, there was some kind of like rumors like, oh, is this one teammate going to get proposed to like at the games? And she didn't in the end get proposed to, but I like kind of heard that, and I like didn't have a significant other or like any reason to like, but I was like, that would be cool. Like, that does seem kind of like fun. Like, you know, it's just, it's kind of a place of mystique, and like, there's, you know, something fun about like, you know, doing it at the Olympics. And then I saw like a lot of the like, you know, I feel like as the internet has grown, there's been just like so much more like coverage, and like people did so much around Paris with like you know, like Tara Woodhall Davis like jumping under Woodhall's arms, and I was like, man, it'd be really fun to like do that and like have, you know, a couple of like edits that somebody puts together on the internet of like this.
So sweet.
And so like I had mentioned it to Connor, and he kind of took it from there and like had a lot to like figure out. But then like I, you know, it happened, and I was like in the finish, and I just crashed, and like I was like, man, like all my teammates are here, and like they're all gonna leave, because like Connor had been like, oh, like I need you to stick around in the finish until like after like the winner's ceremony or whatever. And I was like, okay, like I don't know, like, and then I was like, everybody's gonna leave, and I'm gonna be all alone. Like, and then I saw him come over, and like the ring box wasn't really like your traditional ring box. So I was like, oh, he's got like a cute little note. And then he's like did it. And so it was just like very special. And everybody was there from the team. And it really felt like, you know, like a moment, you know, I think as an athlete, right, you kind of always are going to have two loves. You're going to have, you know, your partner, but you're also going to have the love of your sport. And I felt like a really cool way to bring those two together, like in a moment, and be like, you know, like as you start in the sport and you're like, you know, winning is kind of everything. And then you kind of realize that like winning and getting to share that with the people you love is everything. And so that was kind of where it came from. And then, you know, so it was a really, really special moment to be able to share that. And it was ironic because also like they had told me like the day before, you know, my medal broke, and then they had given me a replacement medal, and they were like, actually, we were able to fix your medal, so like if you bring the other medal to the finish, we'll switch them out. So I got like my original medal back, and like so it was kind of
wow.
You left with a lot of jewelry.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was really well said. But so even though you had planted the seed or kind of in passing said to Connor that would be cool to get engaged, were you genuinely surprised at the same time?
Yeah, in a way, like, because like, I don't know, you kind of like, it's sort of the thing with like the Olympics. Like, I mean, I always say like, it was kind of funny because like, right, they like put the medal around my neck, and then like everything like stopped. And I was like, wait, like this is the end of where I've imagined, right? So I was like, okay, like you go to the Olympics and then you like get proposed to or whatever, like, and that's like it. And then it like kept going, and like, you know, all my friends and family were there, and I was like, and I like my ski technician was like whooping, and I was like, oh, this is like so cute to like have him here. Like I never like thought about this. And then like, and then the like press was like there, and I was like, whoa, okay, like I'm doing press with my fiance, like he's not like an athlete, but this is like so like such a fun and different thing that I never like expected. And then like, you know, Taylor Swift comments, and you're like, oh my gosh, like never thought that Taylor Swift would ever see anything that I ever did in my entire life. And like, you know, like, so, and then we had like, we actually kind of accidentally did like this Italian tradition, which is like La Promessa, which like they do like a kind of a toast and like a cake cutting, like when they get engaged. And like traditionally they would like sign a paper saying that they were going to get married or whatever. And like, so we like had a
Lock
toast
it up
and
fast.
cake cutting in Cortina, and it with like the whole team, which was really cool because like, as you guys know, like, you know, your team is sort of partially your family, but if you get engaged, you're never going to be able to have an actual like engagement party where they can all make it, because they're all so busy and they live across the freaking country. And so it was just like cool to have that like as a moment. And then, you know, and then obviously like afterwards being able to like go down and like watch sports with, you know, Connor, and like, you know, be kind of fans and stuff, I think was really special, because I think also, you know, we all start out as fans, and so to be able to like be a fan again is pretty cool too. Like,
I feel
you're describing our retirement. You're describing our retirement. Literally. Like we're fans.
I'm like
again.
having the time of my life. I know we all start out just like these little kids who like have these dreams. And like we can't, I feel like athletes in particular, like it's just, at least my experience, like we have such weird lives that are so amazing and so bizarre, you almost can't even believe it. And you just get put in these positions where like, yeah, I'll meet that person, or Taylor Swift is commenting on Taylor Swift knows who I am. And like, I'll go to this like thing and have the best moment of my life be like coupled with this other best moment. And it's just like the only thing you can do is just take it all in and like enjoy it in the moment, because next week you're going to be in a different city doing the same thing and like trying to be great. And all you can do is just like be there and accept these incredible moments that seem bizarre and totally wild. Like you can never even dream it. And it really feels like you are in a space that you can like do that and accept it. And you're just like, I don't know, guys, I'm just here doing my thing. So it's just it's so beautiful, like listening to your story and listening to how you're able to do that, because sports is so weird like that. And like the only thing you can do is just like get on for the ride and like hold on tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this a good time to do some start bench cut?
Turn the heat up.
Yeah. We just had you talk about all the wonderful things. Now we're going to make you rank them.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
No, this will be easy, I promise. But we do like to play start bench cut. Are you familiar with the game?
I think so.
Okay. You're basically going to tell us what you would start, what you would bench, and what you would get out of there. Okay. So Olympic experience. We're going to go outfits. Okay. Opening ceremonies, closing ceremonies, or your podium fit?
I would start podium fit, bench, opening, cut, closing. I'm just like, first of all, I'm just always wanting to be comfy, and usually the podium kid is a little bit more comfy. And then I don't know, the closing fit is always just a little bit strange, and it's just not my style. So
Always. They're always doing something crazy with it.
I was low-key jealous, though. We talked about this last week, Megan. Like, Winter Olympics, your guys' stuff is elite. Summer Olympics can be tough. It's just, I've been in a skirt more times than I want to admit. A poodle skirt once even. You guys are like outfitted. You got like the big parkas. I don't know. I liked it. It was a vibe.
The big parkas are really nice. Although I was shocked because they didn't give us a single pair of shorts. Like in any, I mean, we had four huge duffel bags full of stuff, and there was not a pair of shorts to be seen anywhere. And I was like, we do like have to do things inside. Like,
we got
you. Like,
we need our legs out.
We're in hotels. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. So this one's like a skiing edition. Downhill, Super G, or slalom?
Well, I gotta go start downhill, bench, Super G, cut, slalom.
Okay, I knew that was gonna be too easy.
Are just not that cute together.
That friendly.
I sort of want to start Super G and bench downhill because I have so much respect for Super G. Super G is by far the hardest event because in downhill in Super G you literally slide down the track slowly and then they're like, go at it at 70 miles an hour. Hope you don't die. Like it's incredibly difficult, and you're making these plans, and then you're like down there and you're 3 meters off of where you thought you were supposed to be, and you're like, well, guess that's out the window. Like it's very intense and very difficult.
Yeah. Okay, last but not least, let's do actually real quick. What did you get to see when you were like a fan in Milan? What sports?
Yeah. I watched 2 short track speed skating events, and then I watched the hockey game between Denmark and Czech.
Okay. So for this one, we're going to go hockey, short track speed skating, and then I'll throw in some curling.
Ooh, I would say start short track speed skating. That was incredible to watch.
So cool.
Crazy.
So exciting.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah, bench
Crazy.
hockey. Sorry, curling, you're out.
You're out. Curling got a lot of love. When you came back home and you were turning on.
It was very impressive. I really feel like we need more people. This is a shout out to all people in the United States. Please, we need more curling bars. I'm sorry, but that just sounds like a great Friday night in the winter. Like, let's just have some bars where we can go curl and like have a drink.
Good. That's
good. Idea.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a great idea, actually. Yeah.
Like in the summer, we can do a bocce ball there or something. It'll be great.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you can go back and forth. That's smart. That's smart. Well, thank you so much. This was like truly a pleasure and an honor. Awesome. Congratulations. I feel like I both enjoyed the conversation, but also learned a lot. It's just, what you guys do is so impressive. And your win was even more impressive. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You guys are also both so impressive. So an honor to be here. It's very exciting.
We're so happy to have you. Wow.
All right.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
she's awesome.
I'm like, wow.
I can't get over the mental hurdles of it all. It's just, although she did make me laugh when she was like, well, I guess it is similar to team sports. Like basically what she's saying is like when your teammate fucks up.
Pretty much.
I was like, yeah. Look, we don't crash and hurt ourselves, but it's tough. But also we've been that teammate that have
are
fucked
out
up,
of your control. Yeah, there's things that are out of your control.
We've also been that teammate. Yeah. Where somebody's looked at us, been like, oh, dang. No, but that was wonderful.
Like, so cool. Such a great head on her shoulders. Like such a really grounded and like cool perspective on what it is she's doing in her sport and what she's trying to achieve all the time. I really loved hearing that perspective, and just like, congratulations. Gold medals do change your life, and you've earned all 5 of yours, and I've earned 1 of my gold and 1 bronze. And let me tell you, the gold's way better. So that is true.
Just a touch more, a little bit
just a touch more.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Sue, what do you have a touch more time for today?
I have a touch more time for the Bird and Taurasi show, which has come to an end. If you haven't seen, it got released, I guess like a week ago now, maybe, that the ESPN was going to be moving on, doing something different. And I'm really just bringing it up. I think I'm still processing it. It was such a fun run. I feel like I'm going to have more to say, especially when we get to the Final Four. It's going to be a totally different experience than it has been for me for the last, I don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
I guess 4 years we've done it, but we actually did it. It was called Smack Talk. Our very first BTS show is actually called Smack Talk.
Yeah,
it was like maybe the 2019 Final Four in Tampa, if memory serves. So we've been doing this thing. But yeah, so I'm still processing, but I did want to acknowledge it. It was such a fun run. Maybe next week or maybe during March Madness, I'll put together like a top 5 moments.
Five,
of the BTS
more like
show.
500. Please do. The top
it was so
500
great.
moments.
Yeah. So
it was.
That's what.
It was such an amazing show. It was like so ahead of its time in so many ways. And you guys gave something so cool to an event that's so cool. And like, you just brought so much to it. So from a fan and from speaking on behalf of your audience that loves you both, thank you so much for all the time you spent giving us that amazing show and everything that you brought to it. It will be missed deeply, and hopefully something else beautiful comes in its place. But it was it was amazing, and everybody's sad that it's not happening.
Maybe there will be a resurrection one day. Okay, so that's what I had a touch more time for. What do you have a touch more time for?
I have a touch more time for something a little bit different today. So, gosh, it's hard to know even where to start. But there's been an NWSL restitution fund that has been set up to compensate players who experience serious misconduct involving player safety while playing. So I actually got this email last year at some point. And we all know the well-documented, investigated, and like horrible abuses of all kinds that so many NWSL players suffered through and had to experience. And I feel like I experienced some. I think just like being in the NWSL at that time, everybody experienced something. But I certainly don't have the worst of the stories. So, which I feel very lucky for. And so when this email came in, I was just kind of like, I don't know. I don't really want to do it. Like, I'm just kind of like, okay, like I probably won't even qualify. And also like, I was just kind of like dismissive of it. And I was out to dinner with Jess Fishlock and Ziara King, and Lou Barnes was there as well. And I was talking about it. It came up something, and they were like, no, like, P, you should really do that. Like, you should really do that. We like experienced some things, particularly under Fareed Bensidi, who was our coach at the time in 2021. And it was like not okay. And it just kind of like stopped me in my tracks. And I was like, I shouldn't have to be the arbiter of like what is going to qualify or not. And I don't have to because of this, but like I can share my story. And I think it's really important for all of us NWSL players and former NWSL players to share this story. Like this is part of the repair, this restitution fund, and part of it never happening again like that. So I just wanted to take a moment to like speak directly to everybody who is eligible for that. Everybody should have had an email sent to them, former players. But if you haven't, the FAQs are available on the league's website, nwslsoccer.com/players-restitution-fund. But you can also email directly NWSL Players Fund at Bracewell.com. Bracewell is the law firm that's kind of handling all the inquiries. I had my interview yesterday. It was great. It was honestly really nice to just have a space to talk about everything that happened. You can also call or text them at 646-799-2238. And I just really encourage all players who feel comfortable to do this. Like, there's strength in numbers. And I think all of us telling our stories bolsters all of our stories and helps to evidence all of our stories. And it was actually like oddly a little bit healing for me. So I thought that it was a really worthwhile endeavor. So for all the NWSL players out there, I would definitely encourage you to do that. We're going to put all this information in the show notes. But again, everything's on the league's website as well.
And for anyone listening, tag your faves. Tag the players you like. Tag the players you think that need to see this, because they might not.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Get them in
We're
the comments.
Share this far and wide, but send it to anyone and everyone. Thanks for saying that too. That's a good shout.
Yeah, no problem. That's it for this episode.